welcome to the Eurogamer show.
Or as we may as well rename it, the Waiting Impatiently for Metal Gear Solid 5 show.
You might have been waiting impatiently, but I've been playing it loads this week. Coming up this week, I talked to Chris about Metal Gear Solid 5 and Fulton ballooning sheep before Ian counts down the weirdest bosses from the Mega Man Legacy Collection. But first, let's check in with Chris, I guess. How did you get over there?
Hello, so something kind of important happened for the video team this week, and that was the launch of YouTube Gaming, which is a separate website or app to your standard YouTube, and as the name suggests, it's all about those video games. You go here, you'll just find stuff about games, most of the time. I've seen the occasional thing slip through so far, but I get the impression that's an exception. And yeah, it's got a few cool ideas going on. I quite like the game pages in particular, which create these hubs around certain, well, most video game titles actually, and they'll have a lovely screenshot at the top, and then you scroll down and you'll see relevant videos and live streams, and in my experience it actually makes it a little easier to find newer videos of slightly older games, which is useful. The layout is also significantly different, isn't it? Look at how big those thumbnails are. You'll probably have your own opinion on that, and you know what, I'm not going to give you the hard sell on YouTube Gaming because, well, we don't really mind where you watch our stuff, we're just quite happy that you're watching it. So if you prefer to stick on traditional YouTube and watch them there, because maybe you watch things that aren't just gaming related, then sure, cool. Thank you for doing that. However, the one key difference from our perspective with YouTube Gaming is that on that site, live streams are quite a bit easier to find. So if you go to the front page, you'll see that probably there's a live stream auto playing right at the top. There'll be some featured live streams underneath. It will remind you, I imagine, of going to the front page of Twitch, and it probably should because this is supposed to be the big competition. Compare that to standard YouTube, where sure, you're giving a notification when someone you're subscribed to starts streaming, cool, but trying to find a brand new stream from someone you haven't seen already of a game that you're interested in is really, really difficult. Whereas over on the new site and the new app, it's a priority. It's something they really want you to stumble into. And with that in mind, yeah, we're going to start streaming a little bit more now, I think. It's not going to replace anything that we're already working on, really, other than maybe the occasional Let's Play style video. But really, they're going to be structured in a very similar way anyway. And these live streams, in most cases, will go straight onto our YouTube channel page once we finish the stream anyway. So you can watch them as a kind of standard video if you prefer to do it that way. And yeah, it will just be quite nice to have a way of interacting with the people that watch the videos a little bit more easily, and just to be able to jump in and show off a new game that we're excited about really, really quickly. And so yes, you'll start to see more of these things cropping up from us over the coming weeks and months, and yeah, we'd like to know what you think. Obviously, we're going to be showing new releases as they come out, but if there's any games that you particularly like to see, then we will be open to suggestions, and we will see you there, I guess. Cool, just wanted to let you know. Alright, back to Johnny and Aoife.
Look, I'm sorry I lied, okay? Just come back in. Come on. There we go. Anyway, I've been playing loads of Metal Gear Solid 5, and so I'm gonna... For God's sake.
Okay, Aoife, I think we should be very careful not to spoil anything whatsoever.
You're right, we
because
shouldn't.
Metal Gear fans will be very, very angry.
And I don't want a lot of angry Metal Gear fans.
Nobody
coming
does.
after me.
Neither does Kojima.
No, that's right.
Presumably he's not going to, right? It sounds like this is a good video game.
Yeah, it's a pretty good video game. I will say it's quite a different game than what I was expecting.
I get the impression, because some of the reviews already out there suggest that the story isn't quite as much of a focus this time, is that right?
Yeah, that's true. Which kind of is the thing that really threw me, because like, whenever I grew up playing Metal Gear, you know, with 2, like 2 is actually the first one I played, which is kind of sacrilegious, but whatever. But like, it was almost like the gameplay was framed around the cutscenes.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And they were
like,
long.
And they were long. But whereas this, I mean, there is a very cutscene heavy intro sequence, which is the thing that we've kind of seen before in the hospital, you know, where he's sneaking out. But once that's done, and that's about maybe 45 minutes long, half an hour, 45 minutes. Once that's done, you're using your iDroid to like pick the next mission or whatever, but that's it. Like, you are free to just do whatever.
So do the individual kind of missions or bases that you're raiding, or however you describe them, do they feel like Ground Zeroes?
Yeah, a little bit, and you can string missions together so that you don't have to go back to Mother Base every time, and you can just like, you can literally just choose the next one and get started on it straight away, but it's still...
You feel like the game wants you to treat them as separate things?
Yeah, and it just feels a little bit, I don't know, I feel like maybe that's just a personal issue though, because when I'm playing open world games, I tend to get a little bit stressed that I'm probably missing out on stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas like in Metal Gear, you always felt like if you were diligent and you were at least, you know, looking around and sort of paying attention to your surroundings, you could feasibly, you know, get everything there is to get. But now I'm like, I have to ride my horse to like the other end of the map just to see, because you know Kojima hides stuff everywhere, and I just
so that's the question. Like the open world stuff, does that just feel like a place for to try and give some like physical distance between these missions and give you a sense of where they are in the world, or is there a reason to go and explore outside of the kind of bases and the main objectives themselves?
Well, and I'm still very early on, so like I can't say for sure. Certainly in the early missions, in the desert, it feels quite barren, and this is something that they said that Matt said in his early write-up for the game on the site. It feels, especially when compared to other open world games, it feels really quite empty. And I think
he suggested he thought that was a conscious decision rather than them not being able to fill the world.
Yeah.
They wanted it to feel
and I can
empty.
Actually, because when I read that before I'd played the game, I was like, I don't know, are you just being
Yeah.
is that sort of you just being positive about it? But like, I can see what he means.
So I feel like there's been some kind of backlash to how open world games are marketed, in terms of like every game seems to talk about how big the map is and like how many hours of content. That's always like a big one. It's quite nice to see someone create an open world without feeling the need to do that, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's true. I mean, and I don't think that all games designers should feel beholden to one-up each other on how big or how open their world can be. And I think if anyone was going to play, you know, by his own rules, it would be Kojima, right?
And it would be daft if you opened your mini-map in a Metal Gear game and saw kind of Ubisoft-styled objectives dotted everywhere.
And it's like, and what purpose would that serve? It doesn't suit that universe at all.
Excellent, cool. Well, yeah, we will have a bunch of stuff to actually show once the game
I'll be able to talk about it a bit more.
Is released, but yeah, up until then, like the footage we've been using is stuff that's already out there.
I can't wait to show everyone the Fulton balloons, because it's just the most fun thing, sending a sheep or a wolf up in a balloon. And like when I found the puppy D-Dog on the map, I just almost, my heart was just like, I can't take it. He's just too cute.
We should do a collection of some things that you can attach a balloon to in Metal Gear Solid 5.
I tried to attach a truck to it, and I think it can work eventually.
Yeah, I think you can upgrade it actually.
Yeah, you can upgrade it, but I tried to, and the balloon just burst.
Video games, man.
I know.
That's awesome.
So, can I play it now?
I'm not finished with it yet.
All right, it's all yours, if you can find it. That's better. Anyway, Ian's been playing the Mega Man Legacy Collection this week and getting all nostalgic about the bosses, some of which are just weird.
Johnny, what have you done with it?
The Mega Man Legacy Collection, which consists of Mega Mans 1 through 6, was finally released this week. In the first game, a large amount of the bosses were rather sensible, their forms based on elements or weaponry, but as Capcom pumped out the sequels, each with new stages and bosses, they had to start getting a little creative. So here's a quick selection of some of the weirdest bosses you'll meet in the Mega Man Legacy Collection. Bubble Man has probably the least threatening name in the whole of the Mega Man universe. If you can stop laughing for long enough to defeat this wet warrior, you'll be awarded with the Bubble Lead, a mostly useless power that does have one advantage. It's the only weapon in the game that can damage the final boss. Yeah, because the first thing I'd think of doing when building a killer robot would be to model it on a popular children's toy from the 1800s. Not only is Top Man named after a rubbish clothing store, but his topspin power is proper pants. It just makes Mega Man look a little bit like a ballerina. Dustman's vacuum cleaner based attacks both suck and blow, but it's worth beating him to get your hands on his special power, the Dust Crusher, which actually packs quite a punch, especially when you can score extra hits from the debris that shoots off the exploding projectile. This Thomas the Tank Engine wannabe is called Charge Man. I'm not sure why having a steam-powered robot would be a good idea, but he got made anyway. His charge kick power is okay, but because it's a melee attack only, chances are Mega Man will take a bit of damage when using it. And finally, here's Centaur Man. This four-legged, three-horned freak show gets in some cheap hits by freezing time and teleporting around the screen, so he's amazingly satisfying to beat. His special weapon is called the Centaur Flash, and when wielded by Mega Man, it acts like a kind of smart bomb, damaging everything on screen. Trouble is, it runs out far too quick and it looks pretty stupid. So what have we learnt today then? A couple of things really. 1, Mega Man is ace, and 2, in general the weirdest bosses have the crappiest weapons. Officially licensed Fallout 4 merchandise is starting to appear online, but does it look any good? And finally, one talented Fallout fan has made his own Fallout New Vegas Monopoly board. Give that man a get out of jail free card.